Let me just show you these retro Japanese electronic novelties that have arrived. I've got three. We've got an old-fashioned television, a miniature boombox and a tiny record player. We'll start off with that boombox though. That's the one that really attracted me to these and made me pick the others up because they're all part of a set. But we'll get this one out of the box first and take a look at it. These are all modelled after real electronic devices from the past, and they all do perform some kind of a function. I'll show you what those are. This one requires 3 AAA batteries. It comes with a cassette that fits in it, but you'll notice that's not a real cassette. There's no actual tape running across it. However, there is a small notch in the end, and it is used inside the machine because you put that in there and that notch will locate next to one of those switches. So it tells the tape deck which way round you've got the tape. I'll show you what that's for in a bit. Now, it does work as a radio. You can see on the top we've got FM and AM on there, and also we can select tape. So we'll put the tape in there. You've got a handle on the top for carrying it. I think you could probably carry it without that though. We've got an extendable aerial on here. So let's just switch the radio on with the button on the side here. And it comes on. It's not going to sound very good because those tiny little speakers, quite difficult to tune into anything as well. It is the full FM frequency range though, but it just doesn't seem to pick very much up. Now if we just move away from the radio and put it into the tape position, you'll see that if we press the buttons on there, we get sound samples of cassette usage. Pretend, rewind and fast forward and play noises. But if you put it into the radio and press the record button, you can see the light flashing on the front. It's now recording the radio. And if you then move the switch back into the tape position, you can play back the recording you've just made. Of course, it's not coming from the tape. The device has a built-in digital recorder capable of recording 5 minutes per side of the cassette. Trying to get the cassette out of there is a little bit tricky to flip it over onto the other side, and of course the reason that it had those notches in the top is so the machine can tell which way round you've got the tape and play the appropriate sample. So I'll record something else on this side as well, and of course if you want you can put a sticker on the tape if you want to keep the things on there so you remember what you've recorded for each side. Now, as well as recording off the radio, you can record straight onto the tape itself. I'll just flip it over so we can just hear that there is a different thing on both sides of here first, though. So now I'll erase that, I'll record over it, I'll use the microphone. Okay, let's just try recording into the microphone. Not too sure where the microphone is. I can't see a hole for it, but I'm guessing it has one because it mentions it on the top there. So let's find out.
Let's just try recording into the microphone. Not too sure where the microphone is. I can't see a hole for it, but...
So that was the Showa mini boombox. Of course, Showa refers to the reign of Emperor Hirohito, which was 1926 to 1989. So the Japanese tend to use the word Showa as to what we would quite often say sort of retro tech or something. But anyway, that was that one. Let's move on and have a look at the next one. This is a recreation of the Columbia Gp3 turntable. You might remember I've done a video on that one. I'll show you what it looks like in comparison to that later on. But this is a Bluetooth speaker. Now again, just like the previous device, it's more of a novelty than a properly functional device, but it does work. It's just, I think you can probably get a better Bluetooth speaker than this one. We've got the button here for pairing, we've got the on-off switch and the volume control, and there's a speed selector on there. This one takes 4 AAA batteries, and we've got a couple of records in here, one of which requires the 45 RPM adapter for the centre of it, and the other one that just fits straight on the turntable. So we'll switch it on, we'll pair it up with Bluetooth. You can see it turns up there, Bluetooth record player. So I tried playing something from the YouTube audio library, and whilst it did play for a second, it then immediately stopped. So I thought, well, I must need to put a record on the turntable. I had a look at the instructions as well. Of course, they're all in Japanese, but I could see from this one that I'm supposed to be moving the tone arm across over the top of the record. Of course, it's not touching the record. There's nothing actually recorded on the disc. The groove's there just for decoration, but it seemed like I was going to snap this, but no, if you push it hard enough, it will go over the record. That then starts the turntable moving and plays the file over Bluetooth from your device. There's quite a bit of motor noise going on there, but this switch on the left-hand side, that also functions. On a normal turntable, that would have been the speed selector. On this, it's the track selector, forward or back. And it doesn't matter which disc you put on there, they're both just being used for decoration and not performing any real function. However, you can link this up with a smartphone app which is downloadable for iOS or Android, and this provides some additional functionality. You can create a playlist, and you can also scratch the record or do some semblance of scratching the record. And also that button on the turntable now functions as a speed control.
I've seen the toughest around. The toughest around.
So that was the novelty Bluetooth speaker turntable, and as promised, here's what it looks like next to a real version of that turntable, the Columbia Gp3. But let's move on now and have a look at the last item, this television, or kind of a television. This was the one that I was least interested in because it's really just a holder for your smartphone. Didn't sound that exciting. We've got a bit of cardboard here which goes on the back. I don't know if you remember when televisions look like this at the back. I do. I don't know why I was always around the back of the television now when I think about it. But that back also opens up, and you can adjust the size of the clamp on the inside so that it holds your phone squarely in the centre. We've also got a dial on the front here. You'll notice that's moving this rubber thing up and down here, this sort of finger that's going to be touching on your smartphone screen. So your phone goes in from the side here, gets clamped in the middle. But before we do that, we need to download the software. Fortunately, it is on the UK App Store. Good job too, otherwise this thing would have been pretty useless. It's under the name of Showa Smart Television. So once I've got that downloaded, it talks you through the setup procedure. Not much to do here, just set the channels that you want on the screen, but also it mentions that it will start off in 1980s full colour mode, but if you see a sandstorm, then tap the body to clear it. So we'll find out what all that's about in a moment. But first, to set the channels, we've got 5 positions here. Number 1's already got something from Tomy in it, an advert I think, so let's go on to position number 2, and it takes us into YouTube. Well, that's quite convenient because I know a few people have got YouTube channels, so let's start off with myself. And the idea is you pick a video that you want to appear in that position, that channel number. So I'll just pick this video that I did a couple of weeks ago, and we'll just close out of the video, bottom right, select, and then after a second or so it will appear in position number 2. So let's fill in those other 3 positions. So we'll put the 8-bit guy in position number 3. I'll put LGR, one of his videos, in the 4th channel, and Technology Connections in the 5th. Right, so let's put the phone in and see how this works. Okay, so the Tomy channel seems to be advertising some kind of Japanese talking cat or dog head, which answers your question. So let's move on and see what's on channel number 2.
In this video, we're going way back, all the way back to the 1950s, because we're taking a look at...
God, he does go on with himself. It's like Open University. There must be something better than that on the telly. Let's have a look at channel number 3. I've just remembered I've already seen this one. It's very good, but let's move on and have a look what's on channel number 4.
You ready for the 27th pack for The Sims 4? Well, here it is. The Sims 4.
Okay, so we get the idea how this works. I'm just turning the dial, it's moving that finger along the screen of the smartphone, which is then selecting the next video along in the list. But it's working really well, and I do like the effect. It's quite a good novelty.
I'm here at Chicago O'Hare International Airport.
But perhaps the most fun thing is selecting a different era of television. Let's pick the earliest one.
And not the blue line into the city either. O'Hare operates an automated shuttle system that takes people between the terminals.
Oh no, the TV's gone on the blink again. Well, if you're old enough to remember TVs like this, you'll also remember how to fix them.
Because it's what it does. As I record this, there are 5 stations just like these.
I think it's time to upgrade to a 1960s colour TV.
In this video, we're going way back, all the way back to the 1950s, phonograph. But we also exported it to the US, where it was sold. It weighs about £2, this thing, and whilst it will
just about fit in a jacket pocket.
Even though when I was buying it, it seemed like it would be the least interesting of the three, the television has turned out to be my favourite of them, and it doesn't even take any batteries because, of course, it's using your phone. None of these things are essential, though. They are quite expensive as well once you've imported them from Japan. They are just toys, novelties, something that's a bit of fun. If you're interested in buying them, I got mine from Amazon in Japan. I'll put a link in the video description text box. Those links aren't affiliated. You could probably get them other places as well. Maybe in time they'll even make their way over to the West. But I hope you've enjoyed having a look at this today. And that is it for the moment. As always, thanks for watching.